Hello there, fellow Monster Madness ghouls and goblins. You're currently hearing the voice of a girl with no name, and it's here with very, very clear intentions to sound the alarm. Before you listen any further, beware that frightful spoilers and deliciously explicit language lie ahead. For once you find yourself in the midst of those telltale bumps in the night and the haunting howls of host laughter and cinematic judgment, there is no turning back. Choose wisely.
Albert,
Yes, dear?
I really never thought you had it in you.
Well, that's the least I can do for my family.
But let's hurry. We've got to clear out. We'll come back and the whole bay will be legally ours. Just think, darling.
Yeah, but let the police clean up the place first, huh?
You have changed.
For the better or for the worse?
Lucky we found my father. Now nobody can accuse him of being a murderer.
Well, all's well that ends well.
Right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monster Madness, a podcast dedicated to all sorts of creature features and beyond. My name is Erika Gwynn, and I'm here to welcome you to the show. Join with me are two men who, after this movie, would totally swim in a bay of blood. We have Daniel Gwynn.
Hey,
And Matt Stein.
This movie is fucking awful.
Okay. We're just going there right now.
I had nothing else to say. Nothing else came to mind.
Spoiler alert. So, as always, before we get into the episode, we have some info to give you. You can find Monster Madness on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, as well as all other obscure social media platforms such as Slasher, Letterboxd, and things of that nature. You can send us an email at monstermadnesspod@gmail.com, and there are a few ways you can support our show if you feel so inclined. For the cost of nothing except a few minutes of your time, you can head on over to Apple Podcasts and give the show a rating and review. That helps us other people find the show, and it's, really appreciated by us. You can also buy merch on tpublic.com and become a Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and there are multiple tiers with multiple rewards, so check that out. Alright, so after all that spiel, let's get to it. On this episode, we will be discussing the 1971 film, A Bay of Blood.
A bay of shit.
Oh, God. You know what? Keep your attitude over there. So, it's the end of September, and this episode is coming out, so happy end of September. We're about to hit October, which I'm excited about.
The world could be over when this episode's supposed to air.
True, but I'm an optimist, and I think that things are going to be okay. Insert happy song. I'm just going to leave that in, because that was beautiful.
I'm known for making happy music.
That you are. Okay, so a new tradition here at Monster Madness. Last year was our first, around October was our first season, and we were weekly, and then we switched to bi-weekly for season 2. Season 3 is also bi-weekly, but we thought for October we would fill that month up with the spookiness and do a weekly all month. And then we have a Halloween special coming. So that should be fun. You're going to get 5 episodes in October. So starting this week, the end of September, to kind of line it up the way that I want the movies to fall, we are going weekly for a few weeks. So you're going to enjoy a lot of that. But, whatever. Do you really care? I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. But Daniel, tell me some facts about this movie.
Well, this movie premiered in Italy on September 8th in 1971 and was released in the U.S. in 1972, and it was rated V.
For violence.
For violence.
And then R in the U.S.
Yep. The genre is horror, mystery.
Genre?
Genre is horror, mystery, and it's a thriller. The runtime is 1 hour and 24 minutes of pure misery.
See, that can be taken one or two ways. Misery as in like, oh my god, these people are tortured and murdered for an hour and 24 minutes. Or 124 minutes of misery for us. But we'll get there. We're going to find out. I think Matt kind of indicated to you how he feels, as always, the negative bitch that he is. But I digress.
Hey, There are a lot of movies later in the season that I am very excited to watch again. So
I know. This season mainly for you, let's be honest. Just to keep you sane. Okay, so A Bay of Blood is directed by Mario Bava, and it is also written. No. Is it written by Mario? Yeah.
Yes.
It is written by Mario Bava. And then there is a shit ton of other people that help with the story, the screenplay, and all this other like uncredited collaboration. Gonna name a couple for you. Giuseppe Zaccarello, Dardando. Okay, it's a lot of Italian names, so don't come at me. I am actually Italian, and I still can't pronounce these correctly. Dardando Sacchetti, Gianfranco Barberi, Jean Luto, Laura Betty, and a bunch of other people. Like, there's a lot of people who wrote on this movie. And the dialogue, to me, not to jump a little bit, didn't feel like it warranted this many people writing it. It's like how today you see that, like, a Beyonce song has 15 writers on it, but Bohemian Rhapsody had, what, one? Two writers? I mean, just think about it. So this movie is starring Claudine Auger, Luigi Pasilli, Claudio Camozzo, and Maria Rosati. Lots of Italian. It's an Italian horror film, which was confusing to me at first because I was expecting it to be in Italian and to read subtitles, but it looked like they were speaking English and then overdubbed their English with English because the mouth and words didn't really look like they were coming out of each other's mouth. It was confusing. The movie's on YouTube. You can watch it for free. Don't buy it. So, some taglines for this film. The second movie rated V for violence. They came to play. They stayed to die.
Fucking tight. Sorry.
13 characters. 13 murders. The first film that dares to show hardcore, quote unquote, violence, in all caps and an exclamation point. Nothing has quite prepared you for, ... Mario Bava's Carnage. Mario Bava's Carnage is the real thing.
Why are they saying Carnage?
This movie has about 8 different titles.
Oh, okay.
By the by. There's a few in Italian, and then there's a couple in English.
Wait, Bay of Blood wasn't the original title?
It's one of them.
Oh.
I don't know why it has so many titles. Didn't see that written.
Must have been a flop.
We'll get there, because it really wasn't. The ultimate tolerance test for violence. You will pray for the nightmare to end. That's true. Maybe the last shock film you will ever want to see. Terror flows deep. Diabolical, fiendish, savage, ... You may not walk away from this one. The first motion picture to require a face-to-face warning. That's not true either, I don't think. Maybe the last shock film you will ever want to see.
What warrants a face-to-face warning?
Well, I feel like there was another film. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking of like last time when we talked about Psycho, how there was a disclaimer like, oh, you cannot come into this movie halfway and you cannot give away the ending. There was kind of like that thing. But I don't know, I feel like there was another movie that was just like, are you sure you want to go in and watch this type deal?
I tried Googling face-to-face warning, and right now that doesn't end well.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Well, it's just don't touch your face.
Idiot.
Well, I was curious, what does it mean? Is it something that that is displayed as someone like is standing at the entrance and saying like, hey, just so you know?
That's what I read it as.
I
right.
think.
Which, if that is the case, if it is a physical person who is stationed there, this could be the first movie that they did that with.
That could scare you.
Yeah, like,
right.
well,
oh, crap, what am I about to see?
From my recollection, the face-to-face warning, you literally like a person who worked at the theater had to go to each individual person before they entered the theater and say, "Are you sure you want to watch this film?"
Right, which I don't know if that would make sense if this is the first movie. Like, it wasn't the first one that there was a printed warning.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I guess, I mean, this is a very arbitrary discussion, but...
Yeah, but there's not much else to discuss, really, once we get into the meat of it.
No, and since we did recently, the other names for this movie were Carnage, Twitch of the Death Nerve, and Bloodbath.
There you go.
Hopefully that wasn't a Questions of the Damned questions that I just ruined.
No. I mean, actually, there is, but there's so many other titles that I can still ask the question.
Okay, that works.
Yeah. So the last tagline, if you even want to call it that, it says, every ticket holder must pass through the final warning station. You must be warned to your face.
So, there you go.
Yeah. So if I read a little bit further, I would have been like, I have the answer, guys.
It just doesn't make sense because this was 71. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was, what, 74?
Yeah, it's actually the next film we'll be discussing.
Right. So 3 years later, there was a movie that I would consider so much more offensive and gruesome than this. But this could be because it was in Italian, and Italy was a little more sensitive. Who knows?
There's also more nudity in this movie than like other movies at that time, I thought.
There was a shitload of boobs in this movie.
There was like one set of boobs, guys.
There was the one girl was full frontal nude, and then she turned around.
Yeah, but there was only just one girl.
That doesn't happen in a lot of movies at this time.
I feel like you saw her more than once, though.
No, it was that girl, and then also like I think the girlfriend or the lover of the...
Well, there was a couple sex scenes, obviously.
Of course you guys would fucking be like, I got a mental note of that. Titties.
Well, okay, this is going to sound really, really, really bad, but I'm a guy. So the one thing that I really remember from this movie is when the chick is skinny dipping, she has groomed her pubis hair.
I noticed that too!
Exactly.
No, you're not the only one. I noticed that too.
Okay,
I'm
thank
like,
God.
Yo, that girl... For the 70s?
She waxed it.
She fucking cleaned up. Or she was super blonde down there.
Right, which I was kind of like, huh.
Pausing, zooming in. Like, shit's too grainy.
And I watched it on YouTube. I don't know if you did or not, but I was very surprised to see that much nudity on YouTube. But
I don't even think YouTube cares about this movie.
I think like 100 people had watched it in 9 years.
To kind of, I know, clearly none of us like this movie, but what drew me to this movie is that it's literally on multiple lists as one of the greatest horror films of all time. And
maybe just because it's from Italy, and maybe it's a great movie there.
But here's the thing. While, it's an Italian horror film with Italian actors, Italian directors, Italian writers, shit's not said in it's not spoken in Italian. No. It's not like a legit foreign... I would not consider this like a foreign film. Like, you look at something like, Ringu, or, oh my God, I'm trying to think. Or High Tension, which I don't remember the French name of that movie. But, like, you can watch those movies in their native language. This, you could see that they are speaking English, but they overdubbed their English, probably because it wasn't clear. I'm going to assume that, and I didn't do any research. This is literally just me guessing. Maybe they had, like, American actors do really crappy like Italian accents and overdub these actors, but I don't know if that's for sure. One thing I had trouble with in this movie was differentiating who was who.
Mm-hmm. They all kind of look the same.
They all smiled at the camera for the first 25 minutes. It was just like, who can smile the most?
Fourth wall shattered.
That's what I noticed.
We're in a movie.
Like I paused it and I'm like, this guy's still smiling.
The two bros that go to the mansion looked exactly alike, and the one that was like kind of just always staring at the girl, and then the one who was fucking the girl were two different dudes, but I kept thinking they were the same guy because they had the same stupid haircut. And then like Simon, Frank, and then the other random guy all looked the same. Whatever. Matt, give us the plot, and just we'll keep discussing it as it goes.
Take it away.
I'm going to destroy every one of these names.
Aren't they like relatively?
For the most part, but I feel like some could be pronounced in different ways that I may fuck up.
You can just call her the Countess if you want. Isn't that
Dwayne The Rock Johnson? Anyways, at night in her Bayside mansion, wheelchair-bound Countess is attacked and strangled to death by her husband, Filippo? I even knew that one, and I said it wrong. Filippo. Moments later, Filippo himself is stabbed to death by an assailant, and his corpse is then dragged to the bay. Upon investigation, the police find what they believe to be a suicide note written by the Countess, but Filippo's murder goes undiscovered. Real estate agent Frank Ventura, that's an easy one, and his lover Laura, two easy ones in a row, are plotting to take possession of the bay. After the Countess refused to sell her home and property to them, the couple hatched a scheme with Donati to murder his wife. To finalize their plan, Ventura needs Donati's signature and a set of legal documents. They have no idea, however, that Filippo himself has been killed.
Just call him Flip.
Flip. Their curiosity piqued by news of the murder, 4 local teenagers break into the seemingly deserted mansion and are murdered. Countess' illegitimate son Simon, who lives on the grounds in a separate shack, is the killer. After killing Flip, Flip. He is now conspiring with Ventura, who offers Simon a large cash payoff in exchange for signing the relevant legal documents. Their scheme is dealt a potentially ruinous blow when Flip's estranged daughter, Renata, appears. That was the other name I thought I was going to fuck up.
No, that was really good.
I'm terrible at this game. Determined to ensure that their father's estate comes into their possession, a search for the will proves unsuccessful, and Ventura, who believes that Renata may be the rightful beneficiary, urges Simon to kill his stepsister. Accompanied by her husband Albert and leaving their son and daughter in a caravan nearby, Renata visits the house of Paolo Fossati, an entomologist who lives on the grounds of the Donati estate. I know how to say Paolo from watching 90 Day Fiancé.
Really proud
That
of
show
you.
just paid off. And anyone just watching 90 Day Fiancé. Fossati's wife Anna tells him that Flip was responsible for the Countess' death and says that Simon will probably end up with the property. Renata, who had no idea she had a stepmother, makes plans with her husband to murder Simon. After discovering Flip's mangled, rotting corpse on Simon's boat, Renata and Albert head to Ventura's house. Upon their arrival, Ventura attacks Renata, but Renata gains the upper hand and stabs Ventura with a butterfly knife in his femoral artery. Paolo, who witnesses the assault, attempts to telephone the police, but is confronted by Albert, who strangles him to death. To ensure there are no additional witnesses, Renata decapitates Anna with an axe. Like a fucking boss. Ventura's partner, Laura, arrives planning to meet up with him. When Simon discovers that there is a pair who had plotted with Flip to kill his mother, he strangles Laura to death. No sooner has he exacted his revenge that Simon himself is murdered by Albert. The wounded Ventura reappears, but Albert kills him after a brief struggle. Secure in the knowledge that they are now no other living heirs, Albert and Renata prepare to return home to await the announcement of their inheritance, when they are shot dead from the caravan by the son, who has mistaken their shotgun for a toy. Thinking that their parents are playing dead, the son and daughter rush off outside to play along the bay.
This movie was so confusing.
I tried leaving pauses for you guys to say stuff, and you never had anything to say.
Because I
so
didn't
just
have
kept
anything
going.
to say. Because honestly, I tend to not retain any memory of things that I don't like.
There's only two parts of the
Yep.
movie I even remember.
Hit us with it.
Bush.
The one part where I think it's the real estate agent and the girlfriend are banging, and then he's like, I gotta go for work. And then she's ass naked, and she's like, can I come with you? And I'm like, why the fuck did she ask that question? Why would you want to go with him to work? That's, to me, that was stupid.
She wants to learn the trade.
And then the second one was when the guy walks out, he's like, yeah, I locked him in the trailer. It's the two little kids. They're just locked. The lights are on. And I'm like, no, a normal parent does not do that shit.
No. This was the 70s, though.
The TV's on.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Even rereading just the plot, it sounds stupid. And it's so ass backwards, and there's all the shit that didn't really seem to need to happen that happened, and yeah, I don't know. And you said this was on the list of movies to see?
Yeah.
All right, there's a whole part that I didn't even understand. The tarot card girl.
Yeah, where'd she
What
fit
was that
in?
about? She didn't even make a prediction.
She didn't even make it into the wiki page.
I was going to say, I don't even remember that.
She came up a bunch of times, and then her boyfriend or husband was
Was
just
the bug guy.
Was the bug guy. He looked like he was all
Oh.
coked out, just I gotta go get my bugs. And I'm just what? I just didn't get those. I didn't get the bug. Why were you looking for bugs?
Some people
And
like bugs.
then I didn't understand the tarot card girl.
Here's the thing. A lot of this movie confused me because a lot of the characters, they didn't stick out at all because they all looked like carbon copies of each other. The only people that really stuck out were the females to me, and I couldn't even remember their names half the time because they all looked super different. All the men in this movie looked pretty similar. Simon, Frank, Bug Guy, all looked exactly the same to me.
Do you think that was on purpose?
What, to confuse people?
No, not necessarily to confuse them, but they maybe were this demographic or this look tested well, so make everyone look that way.
Maybe. I'm not
70s
really
seem
sure,
a
to
little
be
early for
honest.
that kind of marketing, but I don't know. There's no other reason that comes to mind.
The only thing that I thought was pretty... There was one scene I was like, oh, maybe this is going to be good because it's kind of slow to start, is when the one dude opens the door and he gets like a fucking machete right to the face and he just collapses to the floor. I was like, ooh, I was not that didn't like
Right.
startle me, but I was like, oh, okay. I was like, maybe this will be good. And then like the kills were kind of lame. I didn't really, it wasn't as horrific as, if you watch the trailer for it, the trailer is super trippy. It's like someone's tripping on acid and it gives you no substance for the movie whatsoever. And it just seems like it's going to be like so much blood, so much carnage, so much that a bay full of blood. It really wasn't.
No, a lot of it was strangling.
Yeah. And my thing watching this movie and like hearing people's opinions of it and they're like boasting of it, like, oh my god, this movie's so good. How? And I don't want to judge people if they do like a movie. Like, there are a lot of movies that I don't like that some people love, and TV shows and et cetera, et cetera. But it's just like, I don't get how this movie wound up on a list with like the likes of Halloween or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or, you know, some of the best slasher films ever. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and I looked up that one question too, and and then you brought up the name thing. I saw that it had a bunch of names, but I didn't look at the names. And I just thought, and then somebody also said that they used to do like double feature or triple features. And usually if you have a movie that's in a double or triple feature, isn't that like because it's not a good movie and they're just trying to sell the tickets to get people to go see one of the three?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think it's kind of like a gimmick, like, oh, 2 movies for the price of 1. Like, that's fun. Spend the evening at the movies. Because, like, you have to think back then in the 70s, spending 4 hours at a movie theater was such a rarity. It wasn't like it is today, like where people can, you know, well, they used to be able to be like, I'm an AMC Black Card member and I can see 4 movies a week for the price of 2 and blah, 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 and free concession stands and upgrades and blah. It's like all this other bullshit. It's not as common because like the local theater wasn't a chain. It was literally in your town and it was like, you know, a small theater that held what, maybe 150 people, if that type deal. It wasn't like an AMC that has 24 separate theaters of varying sizes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just my thought on it.
Well, it's a valid point.
But I have a question for you guys. Like, what do you think, because there are people out there that really like this movie, what do you think makes a good horror film in this kind of genre, like the slasher? Like, what makes it good for you personally as like a viewer?
Me, you need some suspense.
Suspense.
And I like a good twist, like to a plot, like where you're thinking like the whole time, like, oh, it's got to be this person, and then you find out it's not, or you know, stuff like that.
Those are good. What about you, Matt?
Well, I'm trying to think, like, what is it about Friday the 13th and shit that I like, those movies that I really enjoy?
Is it because it's like not really like a human form, like it's more out there?
I don't think that doesn't really do it for me. I think it's like there was like they were trying to have too much story, and there didn't need to be a story. Like slash movies don't need a story. You need like a loose outline of what is happening and who your killer is. And this was like, holy shit, they're trying to get this end game, but everyone's trying to get it, so they're all just going to kill each other to get there. So I would say, yeah, I don't know, I senseless killing. Yeah. I mean, everything that I really like my favorite parts about Nightmare on Elm Street are the one-liners before he kills someone, and you know, the same with like my favorite part of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is when he grabs the chick by the hair, pulls her back in, and then slams the door.
Oh my god, that scene is still so good.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So it's like that is what I remember, not that Filippo and Renata killed Alberto and Ventura for the rights to their house. You know what I mean?
To kind of go based off what you're saying, like it doesn't need like a story. The issue I found with this one is that while it tried to have a story, it convoluted it with so many unnecessary characters that it just got too messy. I liked the idea because like the 70s seemed to be really big on the whole, you see like the beady eyes watching, you know, the teenagers or the people that aren't supposed to be there, or you know, you hear like the and all that stuff. Like you hear the stalking, or you get that feeling of being watched. And, like, that was, like, a big thing. But this, like...
There wasn't even a one-liner.
Well,
like,
yeah.
I can't think of one where, like, the killer said something.
Like, the dialogue to me was just, like, straight up trash. Like, you look at, like, we just talked about Psycho. And, like, Matt, I know you don't care for movies like that. But, like, that had fucking dialogue that you could understand what the hell was going on. There was so much bullshit in this movie. And, like, when it first started, I was like, okay, there's literally no conversation. I would say the first, like, 3 minutes of the film, and you see this woman who's, like, wheeling herself around her home, and all of a sudden, she gets killed in a really horrific way. She's in a wheelchair, so she doesn't have any feeling or movement of her legs, and she gets like this noose around her neck and like pushed forward, leaning enough that it strangles her, and she can't really do anything about it because she can't push up with her legs, and she's just like watching whoever's killing her kill her. And then they give away immediately who did it, and you're like, oh, I didn't think they were gonna kind of just give it to you that quickly. And then that dude gets, stabbed, and I was like, okay, maybe this movie's gonna be pretty good. And then it just like fucking, it blew chunks, man. I was disappointed. I was really like, don't put this on a list and tell me that this is like one of the greatest movies in the horror genre, like top 50. Top 50 to me is like, there's so many other things, but I also get pissed off when lists put like number one horror movie of all time is Jaws. I get real shitty about that. I don't know why. But I don't deem that as like the number. I don't think there is a number one horror movie because there's so many subgenres. But this sure as shit is not on a fucking list of 50.
But the problem is a list is all subjective and based on that one person. So, and that's the thing. Like, I can argue certain movies I like more. Say Slumber Party Massacre 2 is a really, really bad movie, but I enjoy it because I can remember the first time I saw it and what happened.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I was watching it in my parents' basement, and that was the night I found out that my childhood best friend's brother died. And like, we had to pause it halfway through, and it's like that all goes into that. I was watching that movie, finding that out, and then like the rest of the night with my friends. So it was like, that's what that movie means to me. And it's like, if you watch that movie, have you ever seen it? Either of you?
But I'm getting clapped.
But it's like, and that's the thing, is like, that movie, I like it because of that. Like, it's really not a good movie, and it's like just fucking garbage guitar solo, and then he drills people. So like, you may watch it now and think it sucks, but it just, I think it has so much to do with nostalgia and like what was going on the first time you saw it. And so this person who wrote this list could have seen this at some point in their life, and they're like, this movie's so fucking great because of this, but they just think it's a great movie.
That's very valid.
Very long-winded explanation, but it's like,
No, I liked it.
That's the only reason I can give as to why someone would put this on a top 50 list.
When you talk like that, you sound really educated, so I'm going to leave all that in. Enough babbling about this movie. Let's get to questions of the damned.
Pornography. Oh.
I mean, you do like no plot.
And you can find us on Pornhub.
It literally flows into why you like movies with like no plot. You're like, just give me the dick.
Yep.
Questions of the damn time. Daniel, are you ready?
Yep.
You're up first.
Okay.
Just by random draw. You ready?
What is it? Wait, what is the score of the season?
I'm not telling you guys. I feel like that has inhibited you guys a lot. I mean, you can easily look it up, and whoever's listening will.
Too lazy.
So, and because there's so many movies in this season, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to make a note of being like, Dan's up, Matt's up, because I think it's putting up too much pressure.
Pressure.
Ding, 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 ding.
Under pressure.
I love that song. Ugh. R.I.P. both of them.
Vanilla Ice is dead?
I was doing,
He's
I was doing
not dead.
Bowie.
It was a joke.
And
I didn't realize.
Freddie.
Okay, never mind.
God.
Yeah, I knew Freddie Mercury was. I did not know
That
David
son of a
Bowie had
bitch
anything to
stole
do with the
that.
writing of that song.
God. Fucking Vanilla Ice.
Okay.
All right, Daniel.
Yep.
What popular horror franchise paid an homage to this film in two separate films of theirs? Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween.
Friday the 13th.
Very good. Now, can you name one of the homages?
I'd probably say it's probably like one of the... It's got to be a kill.
Correct. Do you know which one?
Is the one at the house?
There's multiple at the house, Daniel.
I know exactly which one.
Nah, I don't. The mansion house, I guess? I don't know.
Everything happens
I'm guessing still. I don't know.
Well, no, it's not an extra point or anything. I just wanted to see if you could kind of place
I don't, but I would think it's probably...
One of them is when they're fucking on the bed and the...
Boom!
I don't remember what the weapon is, but it goes through
It's a
underneath.
spear.
It is. That's what I thought. I know it's a spear in. Well, it's like a lightning rod in Friday the 13th. It's like the top of like one of those wind things.
I mixed it up with an arrow, but that was another thing through the bed.
Yeah.
All right, Matthew. What famous horror actor saw this film and left in the middle of it in disgust? Pussy. Christopher Lee, Wes Craven, Bruce Campbell.
What was the first one?
Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee was in horror movies?
Oh my God, yeah.
Unless I'm thinking of someone else.
You might be thinking of someone else. He played Dracula multiple times. He was in a bunch of horror films. Him, Peter Cushing, Vincent Price. They were all like the creepy old men of horror back in the day.
That is who I'm thinking. I'm getting very much off topic, but
Fine.
I'll have to look up who that guy was. I thought his name was Christopher Lee, but it's not him. But okay. Anyways, I also have no idea. Bruce Campbell? Yeah, I see your mouth move.
What famous horror actor saw this film and left in disgust?
Yeah.
Christopher Lee, Wes Craven, Bruce Campbell.
Wes Craven?
It was Christopher Lee.
Damn.
I want to tell you guys a little fun fact about Christopher Lee. I was telling Dan this the other day. We mistakenly watched the extended director's cut of the first 2 Lord of the Rings movies, which are like 8 hours of my life.
Right.
I didn't
Just a lot of
realize.
walking.
I didn't realize that I had the director's cuts because I was like, "Why the fuck is this movie so long?" And I was like, "Ah, shit." Either way, so Christopher Lee plays Sauron in those movies. And spoiler alert: if you haven't read Lord of the Rings and/or watched the films, Matthew, have you seen them?
I've seen the movies, yeah.
Okay.
I saw one of them in the theater.
There you go. Sauron's character is an evil wizard of sorts, and he eventually gets stabbed in the back and he dies in like the 3rd film. So Peter Jackson, who is the director of said movies, said to in the script it says, Sauron screams as he is stabbed in the back. Christopher Lee, what most people don't realize is before he was an actor, he was basically he was an assassin for the army that he was in. And he went up to Peter Jackson. He's like, "Look, I know in the script that it says I get stabbed in the back and I scream." He's like, "From personal experience, when you stab people in the back, they don't scream. They just do an intake of breath and then they die." And so in the film, Sauron doesn't scream. He just goes and then he perishes. So yeah, Christopher Lee has murdered a bunch of people by stabbing them in the fucking back. Like a badass.
He's dead, right?
Yes, he did pass away, yes.
2015. He was 6'5".
Oh, he was a huge motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad told me my dad is came out with facts about Christopher Lee one day. He's like, "He's a fucking awesome man." I'm like, awesome is a strong word. Intimidating as fuck is, better for me. Okay, Daniel.
Yep.
This movie went by many different titles. Which one of these was not one of them? You understand?
Yeah, you said not.
Not. Okay. The Stench of Flesh, That Will Teach Them to Be Bad, or Drenched in Blood.
Drenched in Blood.
Oh, I'm like, there's a local Wisconsin band called Drenched in Fear.
Ooh.
And I was like, it's drenched in something.
So The Stench of Flesh, That Will Teach Them to Be Bad, or Drenched in Blood.
Physical challenge? Oh, wrong show.
Run outside in the rain.
Could you fuck that? Running, no.
You just see like that cartoon, like when they get zapped, skeleton.
Yeah, his wife runs out. Oh shit!
Oh come on, Matt.
Okay. What are the first 2? Obviously, the 3rd one's wrong.
The Stench of Flesh, That Will Teach Them to Be Bad.
Ah, that'll teach them to be bad. Really?
The Stench of Flesh is not a title of this film.
Still 1-1. How about that?
What are you talking about? I don't think Matt's got any.
I haven't gotten any right.
Yeah, no, you got.
No.
Oh, really?
I answered the bonus question, but it wasn't worth any points.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Fucking bullshit.
All right, Matthew. How many murders are there? 13.
Murders.
13, 7, 21.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
What? She said it earlier.
Look, someone fainted.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Like 4 times. That's why I was
I
like,
said
really?
it one time, you
I was like,
psycho.
really? This is a question?
God, you're such a dude. You fucking timed everything by fucking 4.
I mean, it's either 7 or 13. I'm trying to think. So
No counting. Off the top. Come on.
what?
No
Oh,
counting.
wow.
Off the
Someone-
top of your head.
13. Okay.
It did not seem like that many deaths, to be fair.
No, it didn't, and that's why I was like 7. But like, Ventura killed Alberto, and Alberta killed Renata, and Renata killed Jimmy Jams and Slimmy Slams.
4
That's
kids.
a good
Then you
point.
got the 2 people at the beginning. So,
All right, Daniel, you ready for the last question?
yeah.
Now we're tied.
Now you're tied. And I don't have a bonus question, so one of you has to get this right. Because I actually realized that one of my questions was, what were moviegoers required to do before watching this film?
Smoke
Sign
crack.
a waiver, face-to-face warning from a theater worker, no
Oh.
warning at all.
I know this one.
Oh, no, that's not the question. I was like, fuck. I was like, why do I know so much about that? I'm like, because I wrote a question. Anyway. Okay, Daniel. What was the date on the Countess's faked suicide note? And here's the thing.
Oh, shit.
Shit was written in Italian, and I can read some Italian, so boom.
How could I know?
April 1st, February 13th, June 2nd.
June 2nd. I have no clue. Do I get this? Oh, well, yeah, this is Sun. What? This
No,
is
I mean, if I get it wrong, then
It's going to be a
you
fucking
can't-
tie.
It's a tie.
Yeah, it's a fucking tie. I'm gonna. April 1st was the other option.
April 1st, February 13th, June 2nd.
Well, I'm going with April 1st because there was no mentions of Valentine's Day at all in this movie. I will fucking come over there and slap you.
Rude. It's February 13th. 13th Februario. Okay, so this episode's a tie because I don't have any bonus questions. That's fine. I like ties. Evens the score because you guys are still tied across the board for 3 movies.
You weren't supposed to tell us.
I know. You're not going to fucking remember by the next time we record. I will. Competition is burned in my brain.
Win.
I know.
Win.
I'm just going to put in that Rocky thing that they play in Eagles games. Win. Dung, 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 dung.
I thought it goes win. It's like ding.
Yeah, well, I have to kind of mess with it a little bit because, copyright. Can't just start singing fucking
Slow it down.
Well, just
Rocky theme
ask Sylvester. Say, hey, do you mind?
from one Philadelphia
Hey.
to another. Do you mind?
Hey, Sal.
Bro. All right, well, that brings us to the end of Questions of the Damned. But damn! So yeah, yay, nay, or slay. Yeah, I'm gonna slay the shit out of this movie. I am not happy that I watched it at all, and I would not recommend it to anybody to watch. I don't know why it was so praised on the interwebs, but as I should learn, the internet is a cesspool of lies. Yeah, slay. A big old slay from me. What about you, Matthew?
Slay. I don't even want to say anything else.
Okay, that's fine. You keep those feelings to yourself. Daniel?
Slayer.
I've seen Slayer a number of times.
Do people still scream Slayer as they see Slayer?
Slayer is not a band anymore,
I
but
don't know.
people scream Slayer even at not Slayer shows.
It's been a long time since I've been to a Slayer-esque type show, so...
Yeah, so Slayer played their last show, I believe it was in January of this year. Maybe it was November of last year. It was close enough to all of this that people said Slayer stops being a band and the world goes to shit.
Sounds about right.
Oh.
Yeah, but yeah, any show I'd go to, someone's going to yell Slayer.
For sure. So yeah, you got a triple slay right there. It's rare that we all agree. We didn't vibe with the movie, and this is 3 very, very differing opinions here. You have Matthew, who cares about no plot, just wants to see some titties and some gore. Daniel, you're kind of a
I
toss
don't
up.
mind some titties and some gore.
Yeah, but you like some substance. I'm like, I look at the depth. I want to make this movie to make me weep. I'm like emotionally invested when I watch a film. And just from all 3 of us, nah, yet.
It's a hat trick.
Nope. Don't do it. Don't. I mean, here's the thing. It's on YouTube for free. I'll put the link in the show notes. YouTube clearly does not care that it's up there. It's been up there for quite a long time.
But if this movie is on, I will say, turn that shit off.
If you want to subject yourself to an hour and 24 minutes of really confusing things, and we didn't even talk about the random ass kid who shot the fucking people at the end.
No, I was already like, well, that's what happens when you leave your kid alone
Yeah.
for a couple hours. Finds the gun and he's going to shoot mommy and dad when they come back.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, in the wiki, they're like, oh, they thought it was a toy gun. The way the kid smiled, I was like, he definitely fucking thought that was a real gun. And also, the kickback would have thrown that little bitch.
That too, but maybe they told him to smile just
Yeah.
like everybody else smiled in the movie for the first hour.
Alright.
Just
Someone's
a
still there.
fucking Dentine commercial.
There's like a little twinkle in the tooth, like in the corner.
Exactly. Kill your parents, then smile like
Every
you're
time I
Dentine.
paused it, somebody was smiling. And I'm
Well, they
like,
had a lot to be
wow.
happy about. They thought they were getting the house, and then they were fucking in the house.
The house is wrecked.
Just like this film. Boom!
I was going to say something else, but that works.
It was probably far more filthier, and I'm really glad you didn't. So anyway, Triple Slay. If you want to subject yourself, it's on YouTube for free. A Bay of Blood, 1971. But if you actually value our opinions, which, I don't really know why you do, but if you do, don't watch it. Don't waste your time.
They probably already did.
Yeah, I'm
They're
really
tuning
sorry if you're one of those people that like, oh, I'm going to watch the movie so I understand what they're talking about. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I know quite a few of you don't because you don't like horror movies, but you listen because you're our friends.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Really don't watch this one.
Give us a rate and review, 5 stars.
That too. Next time on Monster Madness, we will be watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I am jazzed about. We literally talked about it in this episode, so you know that Matt likes it for fucking once, and I know Dan likes it. So yeah, all in good fun.
I have a lot of stories about that movie.
Oh, I'm excited. It's gonna be a long one, guys.
Lots to talk about.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Like we said, if you want to support us, if you don't, blah, 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 do what you gotta do. We like you if you're listening. See you on the next one.
See ya.
Smoke, crack, and worship Satan.